Mino Line Media presents the Business First Podcast.
Hi, all, and welcome to a new episode of Business First with Sonia Aline. I am your host, and today we are going to talk about what it truly means to be innovative. And so I'm really excited to have this conversation with the gentleman in our studio, Michael Pratt, who is the founder and CEO of a consumer electronics company that is reimagining plastic. And the name of that company is Pivot. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm grateful to be here.
Yes. Well, let me ask, how are you today?
I'm doing phenomenal. I live in Austin, Texas, so I'm avoiding the heat.
Okay.
We've been in a heat wave above normal, and with kids running around, dogs running around, and even having my mother in town. I'm keeping my sanity.
Okay. Okay, that's good. I obviously want to talk to you. The reason you're here is so that we can talk about these products that you have developed and you're introducing into the market. But I wanted to start with your background because you have spent roughly the last 20 years in the telecommunications industry. And the principles or the tenets of your current business are, being disruptive, innovative, and compelling. And what I thought was interesting about that, roughly the last 25 years, which encompasses your time of work in the tech industry, have probably within our lifetime, right, have been the most disruptive, innovative, and compelling in terms of products brought to market, services introduced. And so what was it with you actually living it, right, living these products and services coming to market, decided that you were going to introduce some products into the market, but you were also going to take technology another step. What we're used to, you were going to take that another step further and be truly innovative.
So number one, that's a wonderful question to start off and a great way to encapsulate what the last 25 years have been in telecoms. You're absolutely right, particularly in mobile. It has been disruptive and innovative. We are what I consider to be in one of our moments of maturity. When you look at kind of the devices and things showing up these days, the innovations are incremental versus major steps. So we're definitely in a mature level, our stage of development. And your question being, why did I go in the direction I did with Pivot, trying to continue to be disruptive and innovative? I'm looking at that and when I started Pivot, I was looking at it from a slightly different perspective. What you've described as kind of the hardware and the technology disruption and innovation that's come about. What I'm referencing is that, but also the way we communicate, sell, and engage with our various consumers, and to now move into the stage that's clearly necessary, which is to be concerned about the environment and be what is considered social entrepreneurism, right? It's great to go out and create the latest gadget or widget, but if you no longer pay attention to what the life cycle is and the end of life cycle is on that gadget or widget, you're doing a disservice to those that come after you. And I'll say this: there's we did a program with Best Buy years ago, and I launched a product that utilized a West African proverb or word that means Sankofa, which is that you stand on the shoulders of those before you, right? And so where I am today, what I've done is because of those that came in front of me, whether it's my family and parents and ancestors, or just my blood lineage, or those before me who struggle, strive to just create opportunities that I've been able to take advantage of. But on that note, you look forward, and that's the disruption and innovation part for Pivot, is to know where I came from, but to know I'm responsible for creating and making sure what I do now doesn't ruin what's here for my lineage and those that come after me. So that disruption now isn't only on the hardware, software, and the simple tech, but it's on being consistent and being disruptive and innovative on the end of life, making sure my products don't sit around for 6 generations. And lastly, that disruption and innovation is also on how you sell product. As being someone that rarely, if ever, sees someone that looks like me in boardrooms, whether I'm in Cupertino or Arkansas or Minnesota, where a lot of these national retailers are headquartered, I don't see myself in those rooms. I don't engage with people that look like me. So the disruption as well is to create a brand that is a universal brand led by someone that looks and is culturally who I am, but also speaks authentically around who and what I am culturally in the world to demonstrate that we are more than, and we are all an equal. And to just talk to folks that look like me authentically, because our industry doesn't market to people of color very well. In fact, it's a secondary thought, to be honest.
The other thing I found really fascinating about the work that you're doing, and before we actually talk to, you explain the products that you have in the marketplace, was when you think about plastic, right? Like in my head, and I think in a lot of people's heads, right? Plastic was something we could reduce the usage of, right? But it wasn't really something that we could change. Like it's going to continue to exist because it's convenient, right? And the best that we could possibly do is just reduce our usage of it.
Right.
And so why did you think, right? And I just had this conversation with a business partner of mine, but there are a lot of terms that we use, and we use them so regularly that they have lost their meaning. And I feel like innovation is one of them. We hear about companies where, the CEO is always pushing his team to be innovative, but then when somebody comes up with new ways of doing something, they go, well, no, like we're not ready to do that, or we don't really think that's a good idea. And so we like using the word innovation. We like to tell people that they need to be innovative, but it really does require thinking very differently, sometimes about the simplest things or the things that we've just become so used to doing. And plastic is absolutely one of them. It was just like, I didn't think that we could rethink plastic. I thought we could just reduce our usage. And so why did you create the product that you did? And like, what came first? Was it that, we could do this differently, or I want to do this and I think that we can do it differently?
So that's another wonderful question. First, there's the first simple part of it is when I started Pivot, the brand and the word itself by definition is the point in which something changes. And so when I started the business, the idea was to create a consumer brand that goes in and looks like, I don't consider myself a phone case or simply a sustainability company that's doing what you see right now. We consider ourselves a solutions driven company, right? So our goal is to go and look at where there are problems and be innovative and disruptive and create solutions and then capitalize on them. At the most rudimentary level, that's the idea. And so having spent over almost 25 years now in the industry and seeing it and being integral on all levels, I've done everything. I looked at where's the biggest problem to go out there, disrupt and fix, and that was around plastic and the fact that there's a ton of wastage in our industry, in all industries. And you mentioned the word reduce. Without over telling my age, because now I'm old enough where you don't necessarily go tell everybody how old you are anymore. But let's say in the last 40 years in the U.S., I remember being taught in elementary through reduce, reuse, and recycle. Right. And when we started looking at where to disrupt, you take those 3 R's, and in America right now, and really globally, on average, 10% of single use or one-time use plastic is reduced or recycled. Right. Apologies. The rest of it ends up where? In a landfill or litter or in the ocean. And so we call that the 90% problem. So that is where we went for our disruption. And we decided, how do we solve that? And I'll just call out, our solution right now fits the problem we're attacking right now in the mobile industry. Our R&D is built on looking and identifying our solutions for specific problems. So it's just not a universal answer. There is different parameters and factors that go into where the best solution is. We aren't the only, but I do think I have the best solution right now for this type of plastic waste issue. And so we called it the 90% problem, and we created our self-cycle technology to be the 90% solution. So that in our case, a product like a phone case or most of the mobile accessories that have on average 2-3 year life cycle and then end up in the landfill. In this case, if it's a Pivot product with self-cycle plastic, when it ends up in a landfill, on average, between 3 to 5 years, our testing has shown, and that was third-party testing, shows that product will rapidly break down or degrade into, at 99+% degradation in those nutrient-rich type environments. So we went for this solution, or we came up with this solution for this specific problem, and then are going to build it out and apply it to other channels, other industries accordingly.
Yeah. And so what's interesting is, so for the audience, so that they can support you, right? You do sell phone cases and phone accessories, but I'm here to say that your branding actually works, because I have been so reluctant. It's why it took us so long, right? Like, how are we 11 minutes into this interview to actually say that that's what you did, because you do seem much bigger than that,
Mm-hmm.
right? To have introduced you as a phone accessory company really just seemed to reduce you. Without, although those products are important, you are much better. I should say not better, much bigger than that, right? And so it's interesting that your branding, like I said, is obviously working, because it's getting people who look at you to see you not just as if they take time to examine who you are, I see you as bigger than just a phone case company, that you really are a solution. And you've partnered with another organization, an environmentalist organization. And what's interesting, they also produce a show or a documentary on Netflix, which I started to watch as a result of that. And what I learned from them is that, and we don't talk about these things, right? Like how important ocean life is to the life that we have on this planet. Like we take those things for granted. And so, as we're talking about what you're doing and your partnerships, being a solution provider, you really want to improve and impact how people are living and thriving on this planet, aren't you?
So again, this is such a great interview. You have done so much research. I love this. It's fun. I can do real talk. Richard is the CEO at the Ocean Agency, who you're referencing. And again, it's a nonprofit that is doing real work. It's not lip service. It's not just to go do something. Like, the things we're doing actually can impact the planet today, not down the road, not something maybe incremental. Right now, if you go to a store and pick up Pivot product instead of the competitor, you've changed a 6th generation of impact. You literally have changed the world just through your choice as a consumer. That's real world impact. And that's kind of where we were going for it with our solution. And it's the same with the Ocean Agency, and why we partnered with them exclusively. And is, again, Pivot's authentic. Anything I say and put out in public, kick the tire, check it all you want. You're going to find it's all accurate. We don't say anything, because that's one of the things I've also noticed, and where we're trying to disrupt is that consumers have become less trusting of brands and corporations, because marketing, they call it greenwashing. It's going on right now from an environmental. Everyone's biodegradable. Everyone's sustainable. Everyone has those jingle keywords, but they have no proof, and they have nothing behind it. And now you can't trust it. So with Pivot, everything we do, who we partner with, how we build, is authentic. And so the Ocean Agency, you hinted at it. They're talking about the fact that 70% of this planet is water. We are terrestrial beings, and we don't understand still to this day what exactly is happening on 70% of the planet, and truly the impact that what's going on there has on us. And it's a very scary reciprocal effect right now, because we don't have that knowledge. And so that partnership, Richard, the CEO, is phenomenal. He's a geek in his world, like I am in my world, of just knowing and going and digging and being subject matter experts the best we can. And that's why we partner with them. But you're correct. Like, making an impact today is the important part. And then if I can capitalize on it, then I'm happy. I got 3 kids I got to put through college. Right. So.
Right. Absolutely. And so for the audience, talk a little bit about what your product does in terms of how it breaks down, because that was another interesting discovery, that plastics in that are left in these landfills don't last for decades. They can last for hundreds of years compared to how your product breaks down. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. So you're right on path with that. So on average, plastic obviously we have different types of plastic, but on average, plastic takes about 500 years before it even starts to have any measurable degradation. And we're still
Wow.
talking incremental or, minute,
Yeah.
nothing tremendous. And again, that's part of the understanding and being aware of what we're doing in our everyday life. Most of us don't
Right.
really know that. We assume, in general, you would assume,
Yeah.
oh, it probably takes 10 years, 15 years. No,
Yeah.
6 generations. Your choice today is going to affect your lineage 6 generations from now. That's
Yeah.
how big of an impact our everyday one-time use plastic consumption is. And so when we looked at that 90% problem, we were like, well, what is the solution? The way we answer is it's not to change consumer behavior. Consumers
Right.
are doing what they're doing. You're not going to win. Again, being
Right.
someone who's almost 50, right? 40 plus years of being told reduce, reuse, recycle, and we only do
Yeah.
10% as a country and as people. So trying to innovate by moving, the masses is not the right solution. So our technology, again, we coined it self-cycle, and we call it self-cycle because when recycling is not available or doesn't occur, and that's 90% of
Mm-hmm.
plastic anyway, if the
Right.
plastic ends up in a landfill, which we use science-wise, we call it a nutrient-rich environment, which means bacteria are there that do degradation that eat plastic.
Mm-hmm.
If the plastic ends up there, our material blended in into the pivot plastic makes that plastic attractive to decay agents. So the bacteria
Mm-hmm.
that are relevant or present in landfills will be attracted to our plastic and consume it or degrade it at the same rate that they do in organic material. That's what our testing has
Wow.
shown. So you consider a banana peel and how fast that type of organic refuse would degrade in a landfill. Pivot plastic does the same with the additive we've created.
That's incredible. And so, what has been the response to that? Like, we know environmentalists would be excited, but how is consumer response when they
So,
understand how by buying this product that they can really impact the planet at the same time?
so that's a layered answer.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest challenge that I have right now, being a small business and primarily self-funded,
Right.
is the marketing and communications outwards, right? And we're just
Mm-hmm.
kicking a lot of that off now that the technology's proven and we've gotten a good footprint of available
Right.
footprint of
Okay.
stores that we can actually sell to the consumer. So we're now just starting to tell everyone, hey, look at us, come get us. But
Okay.
when people know what pivot products do, it's a no-brainer. It's an instant. They convert immediately.
Right.
Consumers are
Yeah.
all in. Industry information or industry data indicates that sustainability or eco friendly type deciding factors for purchase are still not in the top three. Consumers don't use eco as a number
Right.
one, number two, number three reason for purchase, but it is an icing on the cake type of opportunity.
Right.
So pivot products meet or exceed the same feature benefits of our competition, but then it also is able to
Right.
self-cycle. So it becomes an icing on the cake opportunity for us to sell and move product. And again, I go back to this point. We're not changing consumer behavior. We're giving you a better
Right.
option at
Right.
retail. Just choose us, and you're changing 6 generations down of impact to the planet just by making that choice in the store.
Right. And so you're also saying that it's easy to choose you because you're competitive in terms of look and usage as well. So talk to us a little bit about the features of some of your accessories.
So probably the most important feature right now, in my perspective, is our clear cases that we have in the market.
Mm-hmm.
So competitors that have tried to be in what I'll call the sustainability or eco space that have had other alternative technologies have struggled with being able to do what we call pure clear, right? So you buy an iPhone or an iPad or a Galaxy Samsung device, you want people to know you have that hero device, right? You don't want
Right.
it covered up and whatever.
Right.
And so clear cases and clear product protective products have become like the number one type of product purchase by consumers, rivaling black, which always, every time black is always number one, because people want to
Mm-hmm.
show off I have an iPhone, right? And so we're the only brand that has a product that will 100% biodegrade over time, that is pure clear. right? Everyone else, no one else has
Mm-hmm.
been able to do that yet. So I'm excited for that because that's unique. You can, again, have a truly pure, clear case that will fully biodegrade. And then when you look at all the other features, from my standpoint, my head of design, Will Marshall, is a phenomenal industrial designer, and we work on an ethos of making really clean, like I use the term sexy, right? Lines and everything in
Mm-hmm.
our product. Not it's just clean, very Apple-esque. And so our products have all the features of everyone. Right now, MagSafe is huge for iOS or Apple devices. All of our products have MagSafe technology implemented into them. We use 100% biodegradable or recycled materials for our Zero line. The Zero line is probably the most eco-friendly product in the market right now. It's 100% recycled material, the base, and then it's enhanced with our self-cycle technology. So in theory, we're removing plastic from the planet when we sell the Zero Plus line, because that's a plastic that had a former life cycle, was reclaimed, upcycled, and then made available as raw material again. We now use it in our products. Now, when you throw it away, it biodegrades and it's gone. So we're removing plastic from the planet in that line. So our sustainability technology, the MagSafe technology, the Pure Clear, and then providing the same drop protection everyone else has. So all of the features you're used to, we have that, plus we're sustainable.
Yeah. What would you say, as you mentioned earlier, when you walk into rooms, there are very few people that look like you, right? And we also know that less than 1% of Black-owned businesses are funded by VC companies and by other financial organizations. Using your principles, right, of being disruptive, innovative, and compelling, what would you suggest to people who are feeling either intimidated by the technology space or feeling left out of the technology space?
So it is very difficult, to be very honest about it. One of the things in the last few years that has occurred is with the DEI push. Unfortunately, after that killing of Mr. Floyd in Minnesota, there was this rush of effort and interest nationally to look at and trying to open up market and really focus on Black business and such. And it's kind of dwindled, right? That's just the truth. And even with all of that attention, we've still struggled with attracting and gaining financial investment. So to answer the question, like, it is hard, but I'm confident in what I've done. I know who I am. I know Sankofa. I know the shoulders that I stand on.
Yeah.
So for me to give up, for me not to go out and do that fight, would be disrespectful to those that came and created the opportunities for me to be here today. And so I would recommend to anyone, just have the confidence, have the spiritual foundation to know who you are, where you come from, that you come from an amazing lineage, and therefore you need to be out fighting and go through whatever the circumstances or struggles. Keep pushing, because if you got a good thing and a good opportunity, have faith in yourself and keep going. The disruptive piece of this is, I would say today is probably one of the best times in the last 20 plus years to create a brand and to go out and do. Technology has leveled the playing fields. AI is making it cheaper and more possible to do everything on your own quickly. And I know there's a lot of language and news and everything fear of AI, but I don't subscribe to those types of thinking. You embrace technology and you use it to your advantage, right? That's disruption. Yes, entry level and some type of work that has been solid paying and opportunities are going away. Yeah, but there's still opportunities to manage and use and deal with the new technology and implement it, right? And so be disruptive by utilizing new tech, be innovative in being sure and confident in yourself and going out there and doing what you know needs to be done and having confidence in yourself that you can do so. And then on the financial level, listen, I have learned how to ask for money in ways culturally I wasn't taught to do. I've learned things like debt management, debt funding, things that where I come from. I joked with someone the other day, I don't know if it's appropriate here, but where I grew up and how I grew up, if you owed somebody money, you just didn't see them, right? You disappeared. till you had their money. And then you showed up, here's your money. You don't go talk to them and say, listen, man, this is what's going on. I promised to pay you, and here's how I'm going to. What? That's new. I didn't know that that's, but in business, that's part of how you deal. You have to have debt to grow, right? The growth stage we're in right now, I need debt. I have to manage debt. I have to go borrow and have confidence again in what I'm doing, that to go, take the risk, put the assets up, and bet on myself that I'm going to go deliver and go take the debt on and have confidence that you can actually get there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. Debt is not something we're supposed to have in any shape, way, or form. I like your perspective on that. When you get the opportunity to speak in these rooms, what message is important for others to hear, people in the industry to hear?
The facts. Simple as that. This is the part about it that's so funny. The facts. Just talk. I speak facts and truth. I had a conversation with the CMO of a national retailer literally during the pandemic when George Floyd was killed, and we were talking through some things. And I again, I don't know the appropriateness or not, but I told him bet on Black in the conversation and explained to him why. Right? I think about Nike with Kaepernick. Everyone was anti-Kaepernick, this and that. Nike bet on him and had one of the best quarters ever, because the quality value of that asset of Colin Kaepernick. And so it's like when you look at the African-American community or Black community in general, over-index in technology, over-indexing in social media, trending towards 2.1 trillion in spending capacity. Those are facts. Yeah. So if you as a company or a business are ignoring how to talk to that group, you're losing and leaving money on the table, and you shouldn't be in that room with me, to be very honest, because we're here as a company to make money and build wealth and such and to grow. And if you're going to ignore or not think about how to talk to a community with these type of value and just values to you as a company, then you're the wrong person. So I speak very frankly. I will say this, that's a freedom of being an entrepreneur. When I worked at other in the company perspective, and I've been corporate, I've been middle level and small business, you're being paid to do what you're doing. So you sometimes have to code or change how you speak sometimes, even though you want to get a message across, you don't own it. Pivot's mine. I speak how I want. Right. And part of having done 20 plus years in industry and gained the knowledge and experience I have the level of confidence to go into those conference rooms and speak authentically and build my brand authentically, speaking my language without, I don't change. I don't wear masks. I don't change my dialect. I don't change my vernacular. I don't change anything. I speak who I am. I am who I am because I'm something that people should see and understand is present, because I represent and stand on the shoulders of those before me. And I come from a line of amazing people. So I sit in these conference rooms and speak that language. It's time. It's always been there. We've always been like this. And I don't know what happened, but I speak that in the office or in the corporate boardrooms now.
Yeah. And I think it's really important, as you say, to encourage people to own their story, own their experience, not be embarrassed by it, not diminish it in any way when you're presenting, because that's what being authentic is, right? And that's what, if you're bringing something new to the market, you have to bring your whole perspective for it to truly be authentic, right? Mm-hmm. What's next for you in terms of the product development, but also in terms of how you'd like to see yourself in, because I actually I see you working in two spaces. I see you developing a brand for yourself, just talking about who you are and why all of these things are important. And then of course the Pivot brand to go on and develop more products. But what is it that you see for yourself?
So wonderful question. Pivot is meant to be a consumer brand and to be a beacon. I'm building this brand so that I can, hopefully there's something out there that folks see that speaks differently and authentically, right? So for example, with Pivot, I'm focused on making sure our marketing, whether it's the music we choose on marketing to who is in our marketing is representative. You know, I'm making sure that I'm attacking colorism. I'm attacking ethnic everything and making sure this brand speaks authentically and is
Right.
those who come behind me can see you can do that and be successful, right? So Pivot's going to continue to grow. We are a solutions driven business. We're not a phone case business. We're not a mobile accessories only company. You are going to see our R&D. We have you know, we got a lot of stuff cooking, right? And other materials and things. And you'll start to see our brand. I'll tell you this, the reason we chose to go into doing cases is because everyone carries a phone and everyone protects their device. So from a branding perspective, if I want to get my brand out quick and then be able to leverage it and flip that and pivot it, if I get everybody carrying a phone case with my brand on it and logo and learn about me that way, I can go any other vertical, because then you're going to go, oh man, my phone has a pivot case. I'm going to use that pivot cable to charge now. I'm going to go use that pivot. Like I joke with my business partner, Will, I'm going to be ready to step out of pivot when Starbucks and all the other coffee companies around the world start using pivot branded coffee stoppers, because there's got to be billions of those a year. So you may not think about them because they're thin, short, but there's got to be a billion of them a year sitting in landfills because they are absolutely discarded. No one's thinking about recycling that. I don't. I get them and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. So when you see that, Sonia, you'll be like, oh, I know Michael retired, right? Because I got there. And then, but on the flip, you're correct. I am working on where I go next on my own, because I feel like I have a wealth of experience to communicate out. I'm decent in front of folks, and like I want to get into teaching next, because I never had a black male teacher my entire career, academic career. Wow. And I know the importance of that. I do part-time volunteer teaching right now at the high school in my area, teaching entrepreneurism. And I love it. I want to influence the generations behind and keep showing, other ways to do and to proceed. So I envision myself going down that path. I spoke with a business partner yesterday. I envision going into doing some VC and private equity investing myself, and making it easier for people like myself at this stage of business to have someone who knows and someone who's willing to take the risk, and someone who's not going to be stuck with these rigid, I was raised being told you have to do things 2 times better to be considered equal. Right. Not with what I'm going to do. You just have to have confidence, be good, have a good business plan, and know what you're doing, and be treated the same as others. So I'm going to go down that path as well. So take all of this and give it back.
Yeah. What do you think has been the hardest lesson you've learned as an entrepreneur? And I know there's several, because it's just, entrepreneurship is just not an easy journey, particularly in the areas where you are currently. But
the hardest lesson so far, to be very honest, has been on the financials.
Yeah.
The confidence. So number one, it's not a hard lesson. It's a truth. Being an entrepreneur, you have to have, in my coursework that I teach at the high school, I tell them all the time, I love Cuban food, for example. I would love to open a Cuban restaurant. I can promise you I'll fail in the first year, because I got no background, no skill, there ain't no reason I should be doing it, although I like it. So you have to love what you're doing to be an entrepreneur. That's not a hard lesson. That's a fact, because it is an up and down. There are days where you don't want to do it anymore. There are times where you're like, look at what I've done. And then you get 6 months in, a year in, year and a half, 2 years, all these different milestones. When you get to look back, you're like, whoa, look at what we've done. So it's not that's not a hard lesson on the difficulty of entrepreneurism and to go after it. The hardest lesson I've had so far is to manage through that, the reality and the fact that there's a lot of conversations and discussions that are presented in the world around those that have wanting to make available resources and do such. And then to find it a lot of times so far has been lip service. You go through the hurdles, you go through all of this, and people aren't willing to actually move the goalpost again. And then again. And I'm like, listen, you came to me and said you wanted to help my business because of these unique factors, the sustainability or the Black owned. And then when I come back to you and offer you what you're asking, you move the goalpost. So you weren't really trying. And that's been the hardest part of this, to be very honest, because I have a credible product and brand and opportunity, and it's really difficult to get the financials just to be able to do it. So you have to have the conviction, confidence, and learn how to manage debt, and learn how to ask for money. And you just have to learn as an entrepreneur how to get to the next step. It's what it is.
It is what it is. It is. So tell us all how we can support your product and where we can find you.
Our products are available nationally in multiple retailers, Target stores. We're in about half the Target stores around the country. And in about a third of those, you'll see our displayers, which tell the pivot technology and shows the different products we make. We're in a national footprint with T-Mobile. We are also in Best Buy stores nationally, and you'll see us in Verizon in the second half of this year. And online, you can find us at Amazon, and you can buy direct from us at mypivot.com, which is MYPIV as in Victor, E as in Eric, T.com. And we spell phonetically, not the normal spelling. It's the phonetic spelling of pivot, PIVET. So mypivot.com. That's where you can find us.
Very good. And on socials, do you have your socials set up? I know you're on LinkedIn.
TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, we're everywhere. Trends, or was it Threads? We're on Threads now.
Right. Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, we would love to have you back to hear, how you're progressing, to hear about new products, and to hear about new thoughts. I'm really pleased that we were able to have this conversation. You were able to share your insights with our audience. We wish you the best. And just thank you for coming and sharing.
Sonia, thank you for having me. This is a wonderful interview. I would just end with, the questions and the level of research that you've done on everything we've been doing is so heartening for me. Thank you. I get to walk away from this today knowing that you're paying attention. People are seeing what I'm doing. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And like I said, we look forward to seeing your growth and sharing and helping to contribute to your success. So thank you. And thank you all for listening to this interview. And we will see you again next week with another great guest.
The Business First podcast is hosted and produced by Sonia Aline. Executive producer Ken Johnson. Find the Business First podcast on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcast. On social media on IG at business_first_podcast. Follow the Mean Old Line Media Podcast Network on IG at Mean Old Line Media. Get the Mean Old Line Media app in the App Store or Google Play. The Business First podcast is a Mean Old Line Media production.